I never meant to check his location that night. It was habit, the same way I would text him goodnight, or save him the last slice of pizza. The same way I would check to see if he had made it home safe after his business trips. A lingering trace of caring that I had not yet unlearned. The blue dot on my screen showed him 2 hours away, in New Haven, not in Boston, where his conference was supposed to be. For a moment, I stared at my phone, thinking it must be glitching. We had shared our locations 3 years ago, back when trust was as natural as breathing. Back when love meant never having to wonder where the other person was, because they would always tell you themselves. I watched the dot move slightly, confirming it wasn't a glitch. He was really there, in a city he had no reason to be in. My finger hovered over the phone icon. One tap, and I could ask him why. He would probably have an explanation. He always did. Instead, I opened our text thread. His last message, sent 5 hours ago. Busy day at the conference. Keynote speaker was amazing. Miss you? The conference. In Boston, not New Haven. I zoomed in on the map. His location pinged more precisely now. A residential area. Not a hotel. Not a conference center. Just a quiet street of houses and apartments where he had no reason to be at 11:47 p.m. I opened Instagram, not sure what I was looking for. His story showed a conference lanyard, posted 8 hours ago. Location tagged, Boston Convention Center. But that blue dot on my screen kept flashing in New Haven. I remembered setting up location sharing after that night. I got a flat tire. He had been so worried, driving around for an hour before finding me. Never again, he had said, showing me how to share my location. I always want to know you're safe. The irony was not lost on me. My roommate Rachel found me still staring at my phone at 1 a.m. Can't sleep, she asked, heading to the kitchen for her usual midnight snack. Then she saw my face. What's wrong? I showed her the screen. She set down her snack and sat beside me. Maybe his phone is wrong, she suggested, but her tone said she did not believe it. He posted conference photos all day, I said, in Boston. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Old photos? I opened his conference post again. In one, he was holding up today's schedule. Today's date, clearly visible. He must have left after posting, I said, more to myself than Rachel. But why? Why go to New Haven? Why lie? Rachel squeezed my hand. We both knew why. We just did not want to say it. I stayed up all night watching that blue dot. It did not move until 6 a.m. Then it started traveling. Not toward Boston, but toward home. Toward me. His good morning text came at 7:30. Early breakfast with the keynote speaker. Last day of conference. Can't wait to see you tonight. I stared at those words until they blurred. Each one felt like a small betrayal now. How many other messages had been lies? How many morning texts had he sent from places he was not supposed to be? Throughout the day, I watched his location bounce between Boston conference centers, carefully posted on social media. And that street in New Haven, shown only to me through an app he had probably forgotten we shared. Rachel urged me to confront him. Just call him out, she said. Make him explain. But I was not ready for explanations. I was not ready for the carefully constructed lies or the painful truth they had been hiding. Instead, I did something worse. I started investigating. It did not take long to find her on social media. New Haven location proudly displayed in her bio. Photos of coffee shops and bookstores I recognized from his occasional work trips. Her most recent post, a blurred photo of 2 coffee cups caption reading, "Perfect morning." Posted yesterday when he was supposed to be listening to that amazing keynote speaker. 3 years together, and it took just 3 hours to ruin everything I thought I knew about us, about him. He called it lunch, like always. "Conference is wrapping up early," he said. "I will be home for dinner. Want me to pick up sushi from that place you love?" My favorite sushi place, where we had our first date, where he first told me he loved me. Now he would use it as cover for a 2-hour drive from another woman's house. "Sure," I said. "Can't wait." After hanging up, I turned off location sharing on my phone. Then I packed a bag. Rachel helped me load it into my car without asking where I was going. She just hugged me and said, "Text me when you get there." I left his key on the kitchen counter, next to a printed screenshot of his location history from the past 24 hours. Below it, I wrote, "Next time, remember to turn off your location before you lie." Then I drove to my sister's house, 2 hours away in the opposite direction from New Haven. Away from the blue dot that had shattered everything. Away from the carefully constructed stories. Away from the years of love that had somehow led to this moment. He called 17 times that evening. Left 8 voicemails. Sent 23 texts. Each one a variation of, "I can explain," and "It's not what you think," and "Please come home." But that was the thing about trust, like location settings. Once you turned it off, it was hard to turn back on again. 2 weeks later, I finally agreed to meet. He came armed with explanations. She was just a friend. He was helping her through a rough time. He did not tell me because he knew how it would look. I listened quietly, watching his hands fidget with his coffee cup. The same hands I used to hold while watching movies. The same hands that had probably held hers in New Haven. "I never meant to hurt you," he said finally. "No," I replied, standing up. "You just meant to not get caught." I walked out of the coffee shop, leaving him with his cold coffee and carefully crafted explanations. My phone buzzed. A text from him. "Please, can we try again? I will turn on my location. You can track me anywhere." I almost laughed at that. As if the problem was the tracking and not the trust instead, I blocked his number and drove home. My new home, where no one needed to know my location to know where I stood. Where trust was not measured in blue dots on a map, but in the simple truth of being exactly where you say you are. Sometimes, late at night, I still catch myself wanting to check his location. But then I remember, the worst kind of distance isn't measured in miles or hours. It's measured in the space between what someone says and what they do. Between who they pretend to be and who they really are. And no GPS in the world can help you navigate that. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.